We're here with George Ryals. Most of you guys would know him as Griv. Griv, can you give us some insight on release mechanics? You know, what it takes to get like a back tension release to go off well and how to use it consistently?
Well, there's the release aid mechanics are a little bit different for each style, but the basic rules are the same. I've got a True Ball HT here. And the first thing that archers run into with a back tension style release is they end up with their hand too deep in the release aid. And when your hand is too deep and you're pulling against the bow, there's no action in the release at all. So when you set this up with just this first groove here at the top of the release aid like this, you get just a little bit more action in the hand. The release is shot with a stretch through here rather than a rotation through here. So the way that works, thumb and pinky are relaxed because the thumb, pinky, and index finger are connected via muscle in the hand. So if the pinky is rigid, so is the thumb, so is the index finger. If the index finger is rigid, no rotation in the release. The actual secret that makes a release fire is all in the stretch of the hand through here and the relaxation of this muscle group here. And the way that works, if I hold this head and I let that relax, you see how the head moves when I relax. And the way that works is it's not letting go of the release aid, but it's a stretch through these knuckles here. So as I stretch, it turns. Now if you're shooting a button, note the distance from my thumb to here. Let's pretend that that's a button and my thumb is on it. So I'm holding 2 more pounds of pressure against the bow at full draw. I let the hand stretch. What does my thumb do? It pulls the trigger. So that is the secret on how a handheld release works. Relaxation with the release aid hand. If you're at full draw and you're standing there hoping for the release to fire, it's rigidity here. Let down, reset, more shallow grip, and just relax.
Good deal.
Okay.
Now can you give some insight, you know, any tip that would help not only a new archer, but someone that's been around a while, you know, anything that you would come up off the top of your head that would help?
I see dozens and dozens of archers a year who are trying to either up their game or begin all over again. And the biggest thing is guys get set up and they flog the bail at 20 yards. They shoot score after score after score after score, and they practice scoring rather than practice technique.
Right.
So if you're going to modify technique, you have to see someone and help you straighten it out and get everything right. Then 5 yards away, work the technique. Shoot a target at 5 yards away because you can't aim and work on technique at the same time. You have to do one or the other. So if you work on technique at 5 yards and then just jump to 20, your old self comes back out and starts driving the bow again.
Right.
So what you have to do is slowly bring that technique out to 20 yards, couple of yards at the time, and keep the flow working, the new technique, and just move forward as you go so you can learn to aim with the new technique.
Now, do you recommend, like, say you start at 5 yards, and would you do that 5 yards for a week, and then for the next week shoot at 7?
It's not a timetable, and it's not a score.
Okay.
It's how well does it work.
Okay.
So if you jump forward and move too quickly and you become impatient, you don't properly move the technique along. But if you're standing there at 5 yards and the release is going clearly, the follow through is going well, and you're shooting nice groups, you can scooch it back a couple of yards and continue.
Okay.
Usually I tell guys that when they're in the process and they've made it all the way back to 20 yards, is to set up at 5, shoot an end at 5, an end at 7, an end at 12, you know, and slowly work it back and then begin their game just to reaffirm the technique, the timing, and the release, and the aim, and kind of get those back together before you just jump out to 20.
Okay. Well, good deal. Griff, I appreciate
All
your
right.
time.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.